Welcome back to Cinephellas, guys. I am Kevin Muller, and I am here with a new edition of Seven with Kevin, where I catch up everything that you've seen and watch stuff that you may haven't. Well, today we are almost through with these lists. I think we got two more left. And for today's list, I figure I would have looked at the movies and put them in the order before watching them that I thought would be like the best and the worst. So, you got a graphic right here. And so here's the order. So starting from the bottom, I think the worst thing I'm going to watch is Not Another Church Movie, then The Instigators, Back to Black, Jean du Barry, the 4:30 movie, My Old Ass, and I think the best movie that I'm going to watch is Tuesday. What was the actual order? And I'm going to start as I always do from the bottom. And with no surprise, my prediction matched what actually was the outcome. And the worst film of this bunch is Not Another Church Movie. You know, we all have a joke at the site that Nile loves Tyler Perry, even though he despises him. If you've watched any of our podcasts, you can see the rage and the disgust that Nile has for this specific filmmaker. So, how happy would he be that they made a movie that parodies all his films? And a good parody is rare. You know, for every Naked Gun or Scary Movie, you have any of those crappy movies from the 2000s era, like Epic Movie, Disaster Movie, Date Movie. There was a bunch of them, and they're all awful. It's an art to do this. And, you know, unfortunately, this one falls into the latter. This is not a good movie. First off, the directors and writers of this film despise Tyler Perry. They call him a weakling, and sometimes they just call him a straight up pussy in this movie. There is an attempt at a plot, and it is quickly thrown aside for stupidity and antics. And you'll be blown away that they got both Jamie Foxx and Mickey Rourke in this movie. Jamie Foxx is playing God, Mickey Rourke is playing the devil. Mickey Rourke really doesn't do anything interesting, but Jamie Foxx actually gives this movie something, and I enjoyed his time here. It just seems like they pointed the camera at him and they're like, "Hey, listen, you just do a bunch of funny stuff," and he delivers because Jamie Foxx is talented as hell, and some of the stuff he says in the you know very minimal moments that he's in this movie is pretty funny. All the rest is just a disjointed mess and is neither funny or well done. I always think that if a movie, specifically a parody, is not well done, the movie becomes a joke. And this is what this movie is. It is a joke, and it is the most lamest and stupidest joke I have watched in 2024. From the 2024 list, and I'm going to give this one and a half out of five. Niall will be happy that this movie sucks. Okay, so what lands at the next slot is Back to Black. This was one of the most anticipated films of 2024. It is about Amy Winehouse, and Amy Winehouse was a singer, and she was talented as hell. She had a complicated life, and she took the music industry by storm. And again, she had a lot of personal demons, and unfortunately, she lost that struggle with alcoholism in 2011. There are countless writings, books, and I think there was an HBO documentary I've never watched, but I may watch it because I feel that this movie misses everything that made Winehouse special, made her complicated. I will give the movie credit. Marissa Abela, who plays Amy Winehouse, I thought she was very good. She captured her, but she is not given anything interesting to do. This is like a Cliff Notes version of who Amy Winehouse was. It feels like a TV movie of the week. It doesn't feel like a real movie. It's cheap. It looks cheap and fails to connect us to anything that Winehouse was or is. Or it is not a good movie. It is not a good biopic, and it's a really big missed opportunity because Winehouse was a complicated but a also a talented person and the perfect person to make a biopic about. But nope, this movie is drawn out, mundane, and never really gets to the heart of its subject. and I'm going to give this one an unfortunate 1.5 out of 5. Rest in peace, Amy Winehouse hairpieces. Okay, so my next movie was my prediction for maybe what I thought was going to be the best movie that I watched out of these bunch, and it wasn't. And I'm going to start with this. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is a fantastic comedic talent. She has won countless awards for playing Elaine, Christine on the New Adventures of Christine, and I never watched Veep, so I don't know the character's name, but she won a bunch of stuff on Veep. And usually, when a comedic actress is going to jump into drama, it's going to be either very good or it's going to be a misfire. And I really had a lot of faith in Julia Louis-Dreyfus because I think she's a fantastic actress. Yes, she's mostly a comedic actress, but was under the assumption that she'd be able to jump into drama. But the movie she chose, which is Tuesday, is a very weird one. So, A24 did this one, and it is about a mother coming to terms that her daughter, who has a very serious illness, is not going to make it. And I was kind of hoping that Julia Louis-Dreyfus would be able to do this, but the movie wastes its premise on a lot of weird tonal shifts. This movie has so many emotions and moods, and it switches back and forth with them in a very sloppy way. I don't know what director Diana Ulanus Pusek, I practiced that one, wanted to accomplish, but it just doesn't work. And her direction of Julia Louis-Dreyfus is really awkward and weird. And then there's the bird. So the mother and the daughter are informed that she has limited time left by this parrot looking bird coming down. And I'm going to give the movie a shout out. The bird looks incredible, it looks realistic, it kind of looks frightening. But usually, when they have animals or some type of creature come into the story, it is given a very soothing personality. And it may be, it may have the voice of Liam Neeson. He did one of these movies a few years ago, and the bird is just awkward. It's not comforting. It's not cute. It's not warm. It's not genuine. And someone on Letterbox wrote that it sounds like the voice it has sounds like the movie The House Bunny, and Anna Faris. If you remember, you've seen that movie, when she is trying to remember people's names, she does this really weird voice, and I did not connect to it when I was watching Tuesday, but when I read that, I burst out laughing because that's what the bird sounds like. And it's a really odd choice to have the bird sound like that. And none of this works for a subject that is very personal. The looming death between the concept of death between a daughter and a mother, specifically the mother realizing she is going to be burying their child. It's very good stuff. It could be done well. It's not done well in this movie. And like the bird, the movie is clumsy, awkward, and a little off-putting. I'm going to give this one 2 out of 5. Maybe next time, Julia. Hair pieces. Okay, so with Superman just coming out, and I will have a review on that soon, the YouTube algorithm has basically granted me this video that I watched of Kevin Smith talking about his attempt to write a screenplay back in the 2000s for Tim Burton called Superman Lives. And I'm not going to really talk about that because that's not what this review is about, but I highly suggest you watch it. He's talking to, it looks like a college crowd, but it's a great video. It's 2 parts. Check it out if you can. But we have the 4:30 movie, Kevin Smith's Moon movie. And it's just more of the same of what you associate with Kevin Smith. You have the Star Wars rants, the dirty language. I was very surprised Jay and Silent Bob didn't pop up here. It's just very predictable. And, I love Kevin Smith when he basically shifts away from all this, like he did with Tusk. I personally love Tusk. I thought it was great. I'm not going to defend Yoga Hosers. That movie was terrible. But it's just more of the same. You could predict it, and but there is genuine heart to it because Kevin Smith does have heart. He cares about films, and he projects that very well through his screenplays and his characters, and that's what kind of saves this movie here. You can feel the warmth in it, even though it looks like it was made on a shoestring budget. It does have that those moments of levity and warmness, and it is nowhere near as bad as Yoga Hosier's. It's fine, and I'm going to give this one 2.5 out of 5 hockey jersey hairpieces. Okay, so it was recently announced that Doug Liman is going to bring Stephen King's classic book, The Stand, to the big screen. Good luck. That thing is like 1,000 pages, and unless he's doing like a trilogy, I don't think it's going to work. But anyway, Doug Liman's career has been very interesting. I loved his breakout film 1996 Swingers. I enjoyed Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which came out in 2004. And I really loved when he teamed up with Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise for The Edge of Tomorrow. But in The Instigators, he is trying his hand at the action comedy genre. He has Casey Affleck and Matt Damon, two real lifelong friends. And that chemistry that lifelong friends have is very apparent and saves the movie. They are great together. They bounce off together, each other well. They're sarcastic to each other. They basically are a perfect team. But I wish the movie they were in was a little more stronger. It's not bad, but it's just like a forgettable film. It's something you turn on in an afternoon and you watch it. You'll have a few chuckles, but by the next day, it'd be like, oh yeah, I watched that movie and it wasn't really anything crazy. There are some pretty good names here, and they do, respectable jobs of what they were given. We have Ron Perlman, we have Paul Walter Hauser, Toby Jones, Alfred Molina, and Michael Stolberg. I love Michael Stolberg. So anytime he pops into a movie, I am overjoyed. Again, they do their things and they kind of just leave, and that's the feeling of this movie. The ending is kind of off weird and it kind of it's off balance from the rest of everything. And I recommended this movie to a friend, and the friend basically texted me back saying like that was the ending. That was like such a weird, odd ending. But if you are a fan of these two actors, you're a fan of the director or any of those people I mentioned, put it on, throw it on. It's a fine movie, and I'm gonna give this one 3 out of 5 Boston hair pieces. So my next one is Jean Dubarry, which is a French film that vied for the Palme d'Or a few years ago. It is a story of a woman who moved up in society in France by being the partner of King Louis XV. King Louis XV is played by Johnny Depp, which I assume gave the French investors of this film the confidence they need to maybe throw a little more money into this, because I read up on this movie, and apparently this is one of the most expensive French movies ever made. And you can tell, this is a respectable costume drama. The production is great, the sets are great, the costumes are great, and I like the story. I liked what director May Wan basically, established here. May Wan also plays the title character, and what I like about Johnny Depp's performance here is that he doesn't overshadow her. He is not doing anything crazy. He is just playing a king who is lonely and needs the companionship of this woman, and they have nice chemistry. And May Wan basically, as a director, she throws in a few French customs, and some of the customs are pretty funny. And there's one specific custom that starts off kind of like the punchline of a lot of jokes, but by the end, it's a little more heartfelt what they do with that custom. If you are a fan of the genre, try this. If you are not a fan of costume dramas, don't even try this. But I thought it was a very good movie, and I am going to give this one 3.5 out of 5 lay hair pieces. Okay, finally, my prediction for this one wasn't too far off. And, Jean Dubarry and this one were kind of tied. I kind of didn't know which one to put because they're equally rated. And this one's my old ass. And this one stars Aubrey Plaza and Maisie Stella, who played the same person. Stella is basically the focus of this film. She is a teenager who's stuck on a farm with her family, and she dreams of a better life. And after taking edibles with her friends, Aubrey Plaza appears, and Aubrey Plaza is that character, but grown. I think she's like 20 to 25 years older than the current main character. And Aubrey Plaza says, a bunch of stuff, but she won't lay out everything because she's like, I don't want to break the rules. There are different rules to this, and I don't want to change anything. Kind of like the butterfly effect. But the one thing she tells her is avoid this guy named Chad. And Chad is played by Hersey Hines White, who is so lovable, who is so fun. And it's fun to see him do everything to change the younger version's mind about, pursuing a relationship. I won't spoil why she tells him to basically avoid him, but it is a nice story about, living your life to the fullest. Um, it has a sharp script, good direction. Aubrey Plaza is very good here. Macy Stella is fantastic as the lead. This is really her movie. Plaza is more of a supporting character, but her role in the movie is just as important, even though she's not the main character. This was a nice little film, very heartwarming, and I am going to give this one 3.5 out of 5. Percy Hine White kicks ass in this movie, hair pieces. So, what did you think? Did you see any of these movies? Did you agree with me, or did you disagree with me? Maybe you think Tuesday's the best film that you saw out of these seven, or maybe you are a defender, much to Nile's hate probably, of Not Another Church movie. Please let me know below. Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. I love talking movies with you guys. Anything and anything could be said. I mean, not anything. Don't don't insult me down there. Yeah, come to the website Cinephellas.com where we're talking about the latest in movies, TV, and video games. Come watch the podcast. We haven't done one in a while. We got to get together, guys. What's going on? Yeah, so we have two more lists left. I'm looking at it right now, and my next one, there are a bunch of movies that are pretty good. I won't say which ones they are, but tune in next time for the next edition of this. Again, we got two more of these left, and then I will be talking about the best and worst from 2024. Again, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you sitting there listening to me talk about film. It's something I love to do. And as we say in the site, I am Kevin Muller, and cheers.